So just at the scrapyard, I come across this. Somebody's had a clear out of an engineering shop. Look like 50 tapers. The porcupine up in the middle there. Tens of thousands of pounds worth new. I don't suppose it's worth much now. Unbelievable. So we're back from the scrapyard, having taken down a couple of bags of swarf. Well, as is usually the case, I ended up having a route about. I'll show you the what I found. What I came back with was, I thought this might make a handy jig. It's obviously missing plate of some form on there. It's nicely made. They clips, just Sheffield toolmakers. And we came back with this lot. These are ISO 40 taper, and I think if it's got a plastic collar on it, I think it's a metric. It'd be M16. I think that's 16mm. That's a bit of an oddball. I need to check the size of it. It's a little bit bigger than 10mm. This thing is an AR-30 collet, which was rammed in the end of that. I've just got to put it in the vise and undo the nut. Nice, I think it was 18mm. I think it's 18mm that. Morse taper 2. In an adapter. A big ass tap, which is a Preston M48 by 5, I think it is. I'll never use it, but I couldn't see it just wade in again. Set of chuck jaws. I mean, they're not bad nick. They're no bleeding use to me, but I thought, well, worst case scenario, I'll be able to make use of them. One forged clamp without its bits. That's a Morse taper 2. What do you call it? Like a Dixon's tool holder. That's a boring bar holder for him. Again, they're too big for my my lathe. We've got a couple of adjustable wedges for milling clamps and bits of clamps. This is a ISO 50 taper on a big ass hole there, and then this thing is a Nikken boring head. I think it's 3 to something. Come on. There you go, 3mm to 26mm, and that fits down the end of there. But I figured I could actually make a collar and fit that into my ISO 40, or sell it as a unit. So that little lot I picked up alongside these bits of aluminium I got, which is what I actually went for. So I wanted to make a chip catching tray for my shaper. There was this, not a skip full, but there was several dozen of these, and it says on the back, what's that? I think it's Newber Engineering, which is obviously the firm that's gone bump locally. I think the Bakewell. I hate seeing firms go bump, but it's a sad loss again. So I'm going off to make my chip catcher and probably a couple spare. What else did I get? Oh, well, that handy little storage rack there with the, it's quite good that, because it's got 3 adjustable legs on it, so I can make sure when I'm storing stuff in it, it's perfectly level. Well, it's been a while since I've put a video up. I've had quite a few days where I've just not been able to get into the workshop or get in here, start doing something, and then end up with my head streaming. It's not been very pleasant. Anyway, I've taken the opportunity to start doing some leather work for edge protectors basically. I made my son an axe, which there's a bit of footage of. Well, it's half term for me, lad, so I've been carrying a cold since the weekend. Anyway, I've elected to make him a little axe. So we picked ourselves up a nice little head, which is really small, but just what he needs for chopping kindling, and we're just making up a handle for it in the traditional manner. Bring you back when we've got something to show. We're starting to get a bit of a shape into it now. That's the blunt end, the other end's the sharpy end. Come across a dead knot buried in it, so we're going to truncate the handle short of it, and there's a bit of a split as a result of the knot, but we'll work around it. It's still a bit big for the lad's hand yet, so needs a bit of shaving, and it's hailing. I made him an axe handle more specifically for chopping up kindling, and I wanted to have some kind of leather sheath to put the head in, which we're in the process of putting together. Never done any leather work before, so it's been entertaining. I also made a strap for a biax straper that I've got, and I'll put a picture of that in. Anyway, back to the leather working. I need a what they call a cobbler's hammer, a bit like that, and a proper cobbler's hammer is a bit like a planishing hammer. The front face of this should be slightly domed and highly polished, as opposed to this, which is clearly been used for knocking nails in. It's got a big dent in there, so it needs refurbishing. It needs a new shaft. You see how that's been tightened up. Whop a few more nails in. Anyway, that came with two others in similar kind of states of repair. That handle's shot, it's full of woodworm. And then another one, which I'm trying to work out if that shape on it is a curve. Was that manufactured like that, or is it gone as a result of being walloped too many times on this near edge? I think it's designed like that. Anyway, same kind of thing. They want cleaning up and rehandling. So I've got some handles on the way. I'll initially clean out the worst of the damage with a file. I don't know whether you can see on the edge of that. I've just touched it over just to see what it's like, and it's not hardened, or certainly not that hard. And I asked a question of what would be an ideal abrasive wheel to do it. I'm not a great fan of flap wheels or Scotch-Brite wheels. I just find that they seem to disappear very quickly, and at the cost they are, they're a bit steep. What I was told to have a look at were convolute wheels. 3M do one, which is about 3 times the price of this one. They come in various densities. This is a very hard one, a 9. I think they go up to a 10. And it's silicon carbide, and the F is for fine, so it's a fine grade. It's not as hard as a stone. There is a little bit of give on it. Anyway, cutting a long story short, I need to make a mandrel for it. That's inch diameter, and it's got to go on my wood turning lathe, which is easier for me to sheet up and protect. And that's got a Morse taper 3 on this end, so I'm going to turn a Morse taper 3 with an M12 thread in the rear end, so I can hold the thing into the headstock, and then just a decent flange to sit against that size, and then a washer or a flange and a nut on that side. So we're making a tool to use the tool, to repair the tool, to make the covers for the tools. Marvellous. I've had it's a piece of 2 inch diameter, it's 5.5 inches long, I've roughed it down on the in the chuck, and then basically set it up between centres, driven by a dog. I've set the compound slide over at the 1.5 degrees or whatever it is. I think it's 50 thou per inch, near as damn it. But basically I set up a 3 Morse taper between centres, and then a DTI in the tool post, and tapped it until I'd got 0 reading across the length. Now I can't do the full length of a Morse taper. My compound hasn't got enough travel for it, but I can get from basically there to there, which would be more than adequate for locating this thing in the spindle of the wood turning chuck. So I'll set you up in the overhead camera, and we'll turn this down, and then we've got to turn then the end of that down to 1 inch diameter, leaving a flange, and then tap or turn a thread on the end of it. The reason I've turned it between centres, I should explain, is so that I can take it out, blue it, shove it up the spindle of a 3 Morse taper fitting where it's got to go, and check the fit, because I've not got a taper sleeve that will accept it. I don't go that big. We've got a bit of off centre because of the what do you call it, the dog. Oh no, not that dog. It gets a bit tight doing this with the my compounding against the not liking that cut. And just to emphasise, so I had it gripped like that in the chuck first, around the fat section, and then I turn this down, and you can see the run out on the chuck in relation to the centres. It's not huge, but it's a few thou at 6 inches. I need to rough it down anyway. I've got to bring that diameter down to that. So what I'm going to do is just rough that down, and then start turning the taper once I've got that diameter at that shoulder. I'll bring you back when we're ready. That's the extent of my travel. So what I'm going to do is turn the taper up to a shoulder, and then I'll either move the carriage along and blend it in, or I'll just take off the last section parallel. It's probably not million miles off the size now. It's a snotty finish, but it'll we'll see how it fits on the lathe nose. Well, needless to say, it goes in up to that shoulder, so I've shifted the carriage along. I'm just going to blend that in, get a better fit. We'll whip a bit of polishing paper around it and try it again. So that's the first print. Would suggest that it's me rocking it, but it's not bad. It's printing all the way along. So I'm just going to carry on doing a bit of polishing. I'm going to stick the chuck back on because it's easier getting that in and out, and there's less snagging things to worry about. So we've stuffed the 3/0 taper up into this lathe spindle. I've just put a tail stock on it for no other reason, just keep everything running true. And I've got the I don't know what you call it now, the M12 stud in. That'll do for me, cocker. No shake on that. Completely by luck, by chance. So I've put a shape on the end, and job's a good one. Well, we'll give the hammer a bit of a doing over. It's a stamped one. I think it's George Barnsley. He was a Sheffield maker, turn of the last century, I think. Anyway, it's going to have a new shaft fitted, but for holding it, for working on it, it's all right. You can see the woodworm in it. Right, so we've got to clean up that face, clean around the head there, and then clean up sort of a ½ inch back from that face. You can see that. It's not actually that bad a face, that. That doesn't look too bad either. Most of it's just crap. I ended up taking the handle off it. The face of it was real bloody hard. Fire wouldn't touch it in the end, so I ended up with a piece of emery paper and took out the worst of the damage, and then I buffed it up on the wheel. There are some more marks in there, but I had to stop because it was getting a bit hot. Anyway, so that one's ready for rehandling and subject to a bit more buffing on the end there, but I think it's perfectly usable. I'm just starting on that one. Get you some decent light and see what the ends are like. Now, I don't know whether you can see, but it's got quite a big dent here, so I've got to dress that out first, and if there's anything like the other one, it's bloody hard. You can see that dent there. Anyway, 2 down, want this one to go. Well, that's just a couple of minutes, but you can see how it's emphasised, that dinted area. It's not as hard on the face as the other one, so I might even try a sharp file. So that's the finished arbor on a Morse Tape 3 with an M12 drawbar, that's the word, and an M16. No, wheels worked out alright. It like all abrasives, it pays to buy if you like, a coarse, a medium and a fine, but more funds wouldn't stretch that far. But we've cleaned that one up, which is the first one. That's seems a lot softer. I think it says cast steel on it, on the can't quite make it out. It's steel anyway, but that was the second one. It's still got some very, very slight pitting there, but it's certainly not enough to cause me a problem. And I've polished up the edge. So next job's fit the handle on that, and then that was the last one. I like the little, I don't know whether you can see that on this. Can you see the, let's try and zoom in a bit. Hang on. Just above the 2, it says A, and then there's a boot. So it's, I think it's an A anyway, but that's definitely a little boot mark, little shoe mark. George Barnsley, Sheffield, solid steel, number 2, and that's cleaned up all right. There's just some very, very slight marks from where that dent was. And then a couple of days ago I had to make some, let's just zoom that back, I had to make some awls, I think they call them. So it's a piece of silver steel set in a piece of wood, and then the end of it is ground to a diamond point. The only sharp bit is that initial point. The rest of it, they're not edges. I'm just waiting. I've got a leather hone which I've been waiting to fit into the lathe, and then that will get honed up with some diamond paste. There's a pair of them. That's the stubbier one is for making lacing holes. So yeah, tools to make tools. As a by way of an update on the shaper, we've been yeah, cocking about, I think is the main thing. I wanted to fit some lights on the side, so I bought 2 LED spotlights, which was supposed to be 12 volt, wired them all up, and then found out there was 6 volt. So I thought, oh, no problem. Anyway, trying to get 2 little 6 volt power drivers for them into that little box at the back, it's been not much fun at all. and then got it all wired up and found out this bulb on this end ran for about three sessions and then packed up, which is annoying. But it needs some lights on it. We've got the catch tray made now and a quick release there, and that's about it. I'm feeling a bit better these last couple of days, so I think we'll get on with making something now. I'll try and cobble together some kind of video when I finish cleaning up the lathe and that one. So this has got I've got an anti-crow top to my chimney, and this thing's just come down. It's a jack door, so it's going out the window. Unbelievable. So another piece of kit for me leatherworking. I have to go freehand. There's a pinch vise. Put the pieces of leather together that I'm stitching through between this, which is just basically a pair of pinch points, and then close them up. And I figured, as I'm going to be trying to hold the pieces in position, I want something fairly simple to close it, but it's got to have quite a bit of leverage. So I want to try and put in allowing for different lengths of material dropping through. I want to try and put in a series of holes down the side, and then some kind of toggle clamp arrangement, so that as I bring the toggle down, it squeezes these two together. So what I'm thinking of is, if that's the side of the vise there, and there's a hole drilled through to the other side of it, that's a fixing, and then a piece of studding go through, and that studding has to locate on that, around which you've then got an eccentric with a thumb grip. So as you bring that eccentric round, it increases the distance there, as close as the vise. Now it's only got to move, you know, a bit more than a finger width. So I'm just trying to get my head around how to make that. I've got some all thread. I've got it's actually a threaded piece of brass. It was another pair of clamps like those that I made, which I used to use a lot of for woodworking, but I've gradually converted them all and used bits off them. Don't know whether that's of interest to anybody, so that's my project for this afternoon. So that's what we're going to try and make up. 1.175 thick, 1.585 wide, 3 inches long near as damn it. And then we're going to try and make the shape up on the shaper, do all the work on there by drilling the hole. The reason for the oddball dimensions is in my scrap bin there's that, which isn't a piece I've machined, but it's near as damn it the bloody size I want, so it's been machined up to a metric size. So I'll get some blue on it and mark it out. Right, so I've marked it out. So that's the 16mm hole. Well, it's actually 5/8, which will take the brass threaded nut. That's the outline of the unit. I'm actually going to make it a bit longer, and then I can always trim it down. That's the slot for the threaded rod to come through on. And that's about it. First job I'm going to do is bore out that hole, because I don't fancy trying to hold it in a 4-jaw chuck after I've cut it to shape. Bring you back when we set up.